Welcome to the Workforce Resources for Libraries video series. This is brought to you by Project Compass, a partnership of WebJunction and the State Library of North Carolina, and it is made possible by a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. This is the third in a series of short presentations by Pat Wagner, educator, trainer, writer, and consultant with Pattern Research. Pat has worked for and with libraries of all kinds, plus library boards, foundations, friends groups, and national, state, and regional library organizations. We are very fortunate to have Pat's expertise.
Thank you, Betha. What we're going to be talking about is bright, shiny things, all of those distracting, annoying social media sites that are out there and drive some of us crazy. But the truth is they're an important part of job hunting in the 21st century. So what we want to do is to be able to get job hunters to use some of these tools effectively without getting them so distracted that they spend all of their time emailing new buddies in other countries. So what we're going to be doing is going through some of the major sites that are available to people and talking about how they can use these sites to find jobs and make connections. We're going to talk, first of all, about some of the common features of social media, and I'm going to be picking I'm going to pick 4 of the sites that I've had the most experience with: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and a new blogging site called Posterous that all offer a variety of services that really fit job hunters and are something that you at the library can teach people about and have them use either at the library or at home. The thing we want to remind you of over and over again is we want to keep them focused on the job at hand and make sure that the social media sites don't become an excuse for not going out there and actually looking for a job. What are the things that all of these social media sites have? Well, first of all, the accounts are free, and I think it surprises people sometimes when they start to dig in and see what kind of resources are available. One of the features that people don't realize can save them an enormous amount of time and energy is that all of these different kinds of online computer sites where people can communicate with each other and keep track of each other and promote themselves are all connected to each other in the sense that if you're someone who likes one site better than another site for working, you can still shoot information to the other sites and take advantage of the fact that some people only use one site. So if you prefer, for example, the Twitter site and the people you want to reach more likely to be on Facebook, you can send your information to your Facebook site from your Twitter site. Now, if you're going to work in social media, one of the caveats is you can't just set up your account and walk away. You have to have some kind of interaction with people. You have to be able to post new content, which may be as simple as talking about ideas that are important to you that relate to what your job hunt is about or the people who you're helping. You might want to interact with people by commenting on something that they've posted. You might want to put up some photographs or drawing. But you need things that are going to draw people to you and make them want to be interested in you and follow you. It's kind of like being a good conversationalist at a party. You don't just sit in a corner and read a book. You're out there circulating, talking to people. Now, something I have to warn our library friends about. Any librarian or library worker who has even a little bit of practice using standard database search tools are going to be driven crazy by how poorly the different social media sites have arranged for people to actually search for information on them. By far, the best is LinkedIn. It's the most serious site for doing different kinds of searches. But I would say that if you're trying to help your job hunters use social media sites, that you, the library person, should practice a little bit yourself so you understand the limitations. It's not going to do what you want it to do, but it can help people. Yes, media, all these social media sites can suck your brain and your time. I spent a good hour the other day when I was supposed to be working having a wonderful conversation with the young man who's not so young anymore that I went to junior prom with in 1967 because he couldn't remember what dress I wore. So I know that when you're having a stressful day, going to a social media site, talking to old friends and family members, swapping photos, kind of peeking over the shoulder of folks to see what's going on, is a great stress reliever, and it's fun, like going to a cocktail party and sipping a glass of tea and chatting with people about stuff. But job hunters need to focus, and they need to do the meat and potatoes work and not just the frivolous work. And finally, even though social media allows people to reach hundreds, if not thousands of people that would normally be out of their reach, to be able to connect with employers and organizations, there are issues of privacy and spam. Each one of the accounts that you set up has controls on it to make it as public and private as you want. So we always tell people to be very careful, and you're going to hear me say this more than once. Assume that no matter what privacy controls that you put on, anything that you put on the site may at some time be available to people who you don't trust or like. So you don't want to be putting your social security number up there or anything that you want to keep private and out of the blogosphere or the cloud of information in the internet. So let's look at these. Now, the first site we're going to look at is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn by far is my favorite site for job hunters, and it's the one site that I actually have the most experience with as well. LinkedIn was actually set up for job hunters. In fact, when I first was on LinkedIn several years ago, I saw that the predominant theme of many of the postings that I saw had to do with people looking for jobs and headhunters, particularly people who were looking at degreed professionals and folks with specific talents in, for example, computer science, dominated a lot of the interactions. To this day, job hunting is one of the things the site is set up for. Now, it is a serious site. It's a site for adults. It's a place where, as my friend Susan says, it's a little boring, Pat, but it's very solid. And that's kind of how I think about LinkedIn. What's nice about it is that it has forms that you can fill out that guide you through the process of sharing information about your talents, your skills, your past work history, your education history, things that you're interested in, and makes it very, very easy for you to create for free, in effect, a web-based resume, which I think is great. It is best for people who have specific talents because the keywords that you put into your description of yourself are one of the ways that people are able to find you. It also allows you to connect with people all over the world. In fact, one of the largest groups of people who connect on LinkedIn are people who live in the subcontinent India, as well as countries such as China and Japan. So this is a way to really expand your world outside of your town or county or state. Many, if not most of the major professional and trade associations in the world are now connected on LinkedIn. So you can look for groups and organizations that can help you in your job search. Recently, I was helping an old friend who has a background in museums, and he's worked for some fairly prestigious international organizations. But he was very surprised when he opened his LinkedIn account and started searching at the number of associations that he found that he had never heard of before. So even if you're pretty experienced or your job hunters are pretty experienced, they may be pleasantly surprised about new resources. And finally, LinkedIn is a great place to do research both on people and organizations. If somebody offers you a job or if you're interested in a certain employer, you can look on LinkedIn to find out more about who they are, and you might even find some people you know who are connected to the group that you can interview. The second thing, of course, is Facebook, and Facebook is perhaps the most famous social media site right now. They just passed their 500 million mark a few weeks ago, and Facebook is a site that is mostly for fun but can be very, very useful to job hunters, particularly because it helps you reconnect with your personal and professional networks. Facebook, yes, is people-oriented. It's where you're going to put pictures of your new grandchildren. It's where you're going to describe recipes for apple pie. But it also is a place where you can talk about your dreams, your aspirations. You are able to give people more information about who you are, what you're interested in, about hobbies that may turn into something that somebody's willing to pay you for. If anything that job hunter is doing has a component that is visual or auditory, Facebook by far is the very best place for the display of things like photographs and artwork. I have a client who's an artist in Missouri, and his Facebook site is in effect a gallery of his work. I have another client who's a filmmaker, And she loves the fact that she can use Facebook to put film clips of different kinds and links of different kinds to people. You should know that in America today, it's very probable that if you apply for almost any kind of job, your employer is going to look you up on Facebook because they want to see if you really did paint your face blue and put on that lampshade at the last party that you had at your other employer, and then you had to be separated and nobody knew exactly why you were fired. So as I said before, assume that anything that goes in Facebook is going to be seen by the world and publicly embarrass you. It is also very good for exploring the public face of employers to find out more about what their interests are, what their strategic plan is, to look for press releases, and also to connect with other people who might have information about that particular employer as well. So again, LinkedIn is very much that professional place where you do your resume. Facebook is more like going to the local restaurant or the local cafe or coffee house or bar and having a drink in the corner and chatting with new friends and old friends to make more or less formal connections with people. Twitter has sort of come out of nowhere in the last few years to dominate a lot of what people talk about in social media. And the thing that you're either going to like or hate about Twitter is the fact that it's about 140 characters. What can you say to people when in effect you can only speak in a haiku? Each post that you put on Twitter literally is 140 characters max. Now you can link photos to that. There's a number of different services that allow you to expand that particular post, but the basic post will always be that length. Again, it's the place that makes it very, very easy to communicate between the social media sites we talk about here and other places as well. So one of the things that you'll be doing with your job hunters is having them, for example, have their resume on Twitter, and each time they update their resume with new information, on LinkedIn rather, they would be able to use Twitter to communicate with a lot more people. Another thing about Twitter is that each of the different social media sites have different rules and cultures about who to connect with. LinkedIn encourages you to connect with people where you really have something in common or know them personally. Facebook strongly suggests that you only connect with people who you know. However, in Twitter, you can follow people because you're interested in what they have to say, that you share a professional connection having to do with your job, your career, your training, and so on. So it is more legitimate in terms of creating a network of hundreds and if not thousands of people in some cases that you really do have something in common with. So it's a faster way sometimes of building networks. It also makes it easier for you to talk to strangers. LinkedIn does have a feature that allows you to post a question and people get to answer it if they want. But when you, in effect, put your tweet into the stream of thousands of other tweets that people are seeing from around the world, you can post a question about, what the weather is in a city you're planning to visit, or if anyone's heard of a particular employer, or if anyone has advice about something you're doing. And you might be surprised who shows up to talk to you and to give you some information. Now, tweet is not the place that you just park and wait for someone to talk to you. You can open an account in Twitter and do nothing more than watch the public streams of other people talking. But to get the best value out of it, you have to be willing to interact with people, which includes posting things that other people might be interested in, as well as commenting, hopefully positively, on what other people are doing, and retweeting, which is a way of complimenting somebody on what they've posted by forwarding it to other people as well. If you need quick responses to queries, I find that Twitter is a little faster than Facebook or LinkedIn, partly because of the mass of information that flows through it hour by hour. And that overwhelming amount of information can be just that. And people are reminded that one great way to use Twitter is to simply treat it like a magazine page that's constantly changing. You click in, look what's available, and then you click off, rather than trying to go back 7 hours for all the things that you missed that day. Posterous is a fairly new site, and I chose this to share with people because a lot of people still have never done anything with what we call blogging, which is just about, in effect, creating an online journal or diary. And Posterous is something that I like because it's very, very easy to use. You can send information from your email. It allows you to customize the site, which even though you can do it with Facebook and Twitter, it's still a little difficult and can be expensive to make it look real nice. But Posterous has very nice interfaces that allow you to update the way it looks just with the click of a finger. So someone who's a job hunter who's also looking for contract work or opening a small business, in effect, in under an hour can have a pretty decent looking site using Posterous as well. But the thing that makes it much different than the other three sites we've talked about is that it doesn't have the same limit on the length of the articles or information that you want to post there. So what you can do is this is where you can put those longer articles, longer pieces that you want people to be able to read about you, perhaps an essay or a description about something, and then connect to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn for people who want to find out about it, the other social media site, but then go to Posterous for do it. And for some people, the Posterous site is very much where everything connects. That even though you have your resume information at LinkedIn and your personal information at Facebook, and you have those little threads that get people interested in Twitter, that Posterous would be the main site that would be the place that you do business when people are serious about learning about you on your own terms as well. So remember, again, keep them focused. Make sure that they don't get just distracted by all the bright, shiny things that are in social media. I like to start people on LinkedIn and make sure that they have a solid resume up there before anything else. I make sure that they keep their Facebook professional and simple so that people aren't overwhelmed by a lot of information. Have them use social media as part of a plan that they've put together so that they really are thinking about what is it they're trying to accomplish and what are the deadlines so that they don't get sucked into thinking that the goal is to have as many people follow you on Twitter as possible. The goal is to get a good job. And for them to really build those online communities with some idea of what those goals are, to connect with people who can help, interesting people, not just, again, to look at the numbers. For me, the most important thing for people to remember is not everybody is online. So we still have to go out there and talk to people, and also to remember that real life is offline. Real life is in the real world, and that's something that I think people have a problem remembering sometimes as well.
Thank you, Pat, for that valuable information about using social networking sites for job searching. I want to let everyone know that WebJunction is building a community of practice for librarians and library staff around the country to share knowledge, strategies, ideas about meeting the needs of the workforce and the unemployed. So I encourage everyone to visit the Workforce Resources section on WebJunction. And if you'd like to know more about Project Compass specifically, please visit that part. And just want to remind everyone about our funding by the Institute of Museum and Library Services that is making these broadcasts possible. Thank you.